Romance of Sui and Tang Dynasties Chapter 49.
We're cutting right into a period of, well, just immense historical chaos, the collapse of the Sui dynasty.
Total flux.
We're zeroing in on a really critical moment, the foundation of the short-lived state of Xia under the warlord Dujian.
And our sources today, it's this great blend of official history and dramatic narrative. And they really explore how personal fate and ruthless strategy.
And the surprising domestic strength.
Yes. How it all intertwined to create this, this fledgling empire from the ashes. It's a study in historical fluidity.
It really is.
The sources, they really highlight that in these times, everything is suddenly negotiable. We're reminded that sworn enemies, like Duke Huan of Qi and his strategist Guanzong, they can become allies.
Or entire nations become kin through marriage.
Right. The old world is gone, and the new rules are being written in blood, but also in negotiation.
And it's this extraordinary meeting of individuals that just defines the era. The sources immediately set this epic tone, referencing the poem Leng Tao Sha, suggesting that all these profound human encounters, all yuhi, are somehow predestined. So for you, the listener, you're stepping into a time where these ambitious leaders and brilliant yet conflicted advisors are crossing paths under the most dramatic circumstances. Okay, let's unpack that. The formal establishment of Xia. Dujian had secured enough territory, won enough key victories, that just being a king wasn't enough anymore, politically.
No, it wasn't. After he gets the surrender of Wangkong from the river commandery, he decides it's time. Time for the grand leap.
And it was a massive symbolic shift.
Huge. In the winter, in a place called Leshu, Dujian proclaims himself emperor. That move instantly changes the stakes for everyone.
And he declares a new era name.
He does. Wu Feng Yuan Nian, the first year of 5 winds, and he names his nation Xia. Of course, a move that big, it needs legitimacy, it needs stability. So the very first step is establishing his empress, Kaoshi.
Right. And with imperial titles comes the need for a government. One that works, like tomorrow. An administration built that fast has to be fragile, right?
You'd think so, but it seems to be a practical blend of loyalty and competence.
So not just his buddies.
Not just his buddies, no. They were loyalists, but they were put in roles that were critical for stabilizing a state that was, just being born. We see his court form immediately with Xianniang as the push. You can think of him as the chief administrator, the chancellor.
Okay.
And Ling Jing, who is absolutely crucial to our story later, he becomes the Jiji, or libationer.
Libationer, that sounds ceremonial.
It is, but it's also symbolic. That title was traditionally for an official in charge of rights and education. It's a signal that the regime wants to restore order, restore culture, not just fight.
And on the military side?
Reliable men. Liu Heita and Gao Yaxin were made zongguan, or commanders. Cao Dan and Sun Anzu leading the frontline armies. It was an emergency government, for sure, but it told everyone there was a hierarchy now. Something beyond just campfires and fighting.
But here's where it gets really interesting, where we move beyond just the formal titles and into the unique domestic pillars of Xia. The sources spent a lot of time on Dujian's second wife, Empress Cao.
And this was not just a political marriage. Far from it.
How so?
She's described as exceptionally dignified, very measured in her speech. But what really elevates her is the detail that Dujian relied on her counsel for military affairs.
For military affairs?
Yes. The source calls her his Gizong Liang Zhu, literally an excellent assistant in the inner chambers.
Now, for listeners who might not be familiar with the culture of this period, what does a phrase like that truly imply?
It implies a profound level of trust. I mean, in the patriarchal structures of ancient China, a wife's advice was usually limited to the household. To have the emperor relying on her for strategic military input.
Counsel that would normally be for his top generals.
Exactly. It signals her incredible intelligence, her competence, and also Dujian's willingness to value strategic insight no matter where it came from. She was, in essence, his undeclared military advisor.
So if Empress Cao was the quiet strategist in the background, her stepdaughter, Princess Yang'an or Xianniang, was the spectacularly visible tactical engine, a real warrior princess.
Oh, Xianniang's profile is one of the most memorable in any of the sources we looked at. She was only 19 when her father claimed the imperial title. Her technical skills alone were legendary.
She mastered the Feng Tianji, the square sky halberd.
Yes, and the description is pure cinema. It says she appeared and disappeared like a spirit while wielding it.
Oh.
But just as important was her skill with a ranged weapon. The Jin Wan Dam, the golden pellet sling. She was said to achieve by zong.
100 hits out of 100.
100 hits.
We should ground that a bit for the listener. The Jin Wan Dan. Is this like a slingshot, or is it more of a complex weapon? Help us visualize this.
It's an evolution of the slingshot, yeah. Often with a leather thong and a wooden frame, but used with dense lead or stone pellets. So given the reported accuracy, it required incredible strength and hand-eye coordination. It functioned as a very rapid, highly accurate, short to medium-range weapon.
Almost like a primitive fast-action rifle in terms of suppressive fire.
That's a great way to put it.
So she wasn't just physically skilled, she had a sharp, strategic mind to match. Beautiful and graceful, the sources say, but with extraordinary courage.
And this wasn't theoretical. She routinely commanded a division as the rear guard during campaigns, which is the Army's most vulnerable flank.
And crucially, she personally trained and led an elite force of over 300 female soldiers.
Who formed her father's constant security detail. I mean, can you imagine? That unit, led by a young woman with a halberd and a sniper's accuracy, was an undeniable symbol of Du Jian's power.
And it's noted her discipline was even stricter, her commands even clearer than her father's, which earned her massive respect from the army.
Absolutely, which of course made her marriage prospects complicated. She was a strategic asset, not a political bargaining chip.
So what was her demand?
That any suitor had to match her, in talent, in appearance, and in martial skill. This meant no weak political marriages for Xia, unless the guy was demonstrably worthy of the warrior who protected the emperor himself.
So, with the domestic front secure Empress Cao on deep strategy, Princess Xianniang on tactics and security, Du Jiande had the internal structure. But he faced an immediate existential threat.
Yuan Huaji.
Who also dared to call himself emperor. To beat him, Du Jiande needed the best external mind he could find.
And this is where Ling Jing, the libationer, just shines. He understood that raw loyalty wasn't enough. They needed legitimate, Sui-era competence. And that led him straight to a man named Yang Yichen.
What made Yang Yichen such a legend?
He was a former Taipu, or Grand Minister of the imperial household under the Sui, known for incredible strategy and foresight, but he'd been pushed out by corrupt officials. So now he's retired, hidden away, but deeply respected for his integrity and his ability.
So Ling Jing undertakes this epic search. It's like a pilgrimage to convince him to come back.
It really is. He travels all the way to Puzhou and finds Yang Ye just disguised as Zhang Gong, old man Zhang, just fishing at Lake Jiezi. The whole scene is set up to be dramatic. The picturesque setting, the former minister just avoiding the world.
And the key to recognizing him wasn't his face, it was his song.
Precisely. Yang Gija was singing a song called Zhu Sanjing, drunk 3 times, awake once. And the lyrics weren't about fishing. They were a lament for the suffering of the people.
What did they say?
He sang of sighing at the fish and dragons in the pot, laughing at the pigs and deer running in the fence. It's a stark metaphor for a chaotic world where the powerful, the pigs and deer run rampant while the people are trapped. Ling Jing knew immediately he'd found a recluse who still cared deeply about restoring order.
But getting him on board was a political obstacle course. Yang Yichen refused at first, right? Citing loyalty.
He did. He invoked the classic principle. A loyal subject does not serve 2 lords. His loyalty was to the Sui, which Huaji had destroyed.
So Ling Jing had to pivot. He had to connect Yang Yechen's personal honor to Du Jiande's very pragmatic goals.
And his counterpitch was brilliant. He basically said, you can avenge your lords, but only if you join the power capable of actually doing it.
Right.
He argued the Sui was gone. Sitting in the fields wouldn't bring him back. The only honorable path left was to join Du Jiande, who was the only credible force strong enough to hunt down and kill the real traitor, Yuan Huaji.
And this leads us to the ultimate test of Du Jiande's pragmatism, accepting Yang Yichen's non-negotiable terms.
Which was incredibly risky. For a new emperor, accepting terms from a potential subject, it could look like weakness.
So what were the terms? The 3 demands.
First, he would never refer to himself as a subject or vassal of Xia. Second, he would not reveal his true surname. He would remain Zhang Gong.
And the 3rd demand, which was the most limiting for Du Jiande.
That the very moment Yuan Huaji was captured and the 2 murdered Sui emperors were avenged, he would immediately return to his fields. No promotions, no further service, just back to fishing.
That's essentially hiring a supremely talented, non-binding consultant. And Du Jiande agrees.
He agrees, which shows that for him, the immediate need to win the war outweighed the long-term political discomfort of having a general who wouldn't even acknowledge him as emperor.
And the value was immediate?
Instantaneous. Before even formally accepting, Yang Yichen whispers this piece of advice to Ling Jing. They need to go capture a powerful local bandit named Fan Yuan in Kaopu Mountain first. He argued that securing that area and those troops was essential preparation for the bigger campaign. Just razor-sharp foresight right out of the gate.
Which leads directly to Du Jiande's first major strategic crossroad. Li Yuan's son, Qin Wang of Tang, sends an envoy,
proposing a joint attack on Yuan Huaji.
Du Jiande agrees, but he's cautious. He asks Qin Wang to send only a subordinate general.
And this is where that domestic council, the Gizhan Liangzhou, intervenes with decisive clarity. Princess Xianniang steps up.
And she argues that focusing on Huaji is premature.
Exactly. She recognized that even if they beat Huaji, their rear flanks were completely exposed. Her counsel was simple but profound. Before you chase the big flashy enemy, you must eliminate immediate threats to your own stability.
She points to Lu Yu, who was allied with the Tang in the north, and another warlord,
Wei Diao, who had also proclaimed himself emperor and was occupying Shenzhou County. Her point was, if Xi's foundations are shaky, any major campaign could lead to a total collapse from behind.
And Empress Cao immediately reinforced the idea.
She backed her daughter completely, called it the Wan Quan Zizi, the most secure strategy. It's a remarkable moment. The emperor's initial conventional impulse to take on the biggest target gets overruled by the combined, focused strategic advice of the two most important women in his life.
So Du Jian takes the most secure strategy. He turns his sights on Wei Diao, and the execution of this plan is just a brilliant act of strategic deception.
Almost theatrical. He knew Diao was vain and easily distracted. So Du Jiande sends this lavish gift, 12 beautiful song and dance women.
Along with the promise of more rewards later.
Exactly. More rewards, Sui palace treasures. Once Huaji was defeated, he made Diao believe he was a trusted ally, just tasked with guarding the rear.
And it worked perfectly. Diao, convinced he's a valued partner, drops all military vigilance. He just indulges day and night in wine and women.
And meanwhile, Du Jiande executes this masterful covert maneuver, marches 10,000 elite troops by night, hides them by day, and surrounds Shenzhou County before Diao even realizes they've moved.
The internal collapse was swift.
Very. Wei Diao was assassinated in his drunken sleep by his own subordinate, Guan Shou, who then immediately surrendered the city.
And the end of this operation really showcases Du Jiande's understanding of how to build public legitimacy. It's not just about the military win.
This part is so critical. Wang Kong suggests just pardoning Guan Shou, since he did them a favor. But Du Jiande makes this principal distinction.
What does he say?
He says that anyone who seizes territory and then immediately surrenders it is inherently disloyal, and you can't reward that principle. But he balances justice with pragmatism by allowing Guan Shou to serve under Wang Kong. He doesn't execute him, but he doesn't reward him either.
And the public relations payoff from all this was immense.
Huge. He immediately freed all the women and children captured by Wei Diao, and then he distributed all the seized wealth among his own soldiers.
An act of nonviolence toward the populace and radical generosity to his army.
Which led to widespread acclaim. The sources say it plainly. People were pleased. This didn't just win him a county. It secured the total allegiance of Yi and Ding prefectures and massively boosted Xi's military strength by incorporating Diao's troops without a fight. We're going to look at how this veteran general, Luo Yi, defends his city against an absolutely overwhelming force.
And how his son, the famous warrior Luo Cheng, somehow turns the battle into, of all things, a romantic negotiation.
It's an incredible story. So the stage is set for a total massacre. You've got Luo Yi, he's this old, respected General Asu Jiang, a veteran, and he's defending Jizhu.
But he's in a terrible spot, right? His army's been hollowed out by the Sui emperor. He's down to, what, 6,000 or 7,000 soldiers?
At best. And he's facing this massive invasion led by Du Jian, who has, many, many times that number. So survival here is all about strategy, not strength.
And to make things even more complicated, he's got a son, Luo Cheng.
Luo Cheng. He's the young hero archetype, master of the Luo family spear, brave, maybe a little too brave. The text says he has the courage to take on 10,000 men by himself.
Which sounds great, but maybe not so great when you're outnumbered 10-1.
Exactly. So when scouts report this huge army is on its way, Luo Cheng is full of that youthful fire. He basically demands to take 2,000 cavalry and go hit them head on.
He wants to frustrate them, as the text says.
Right. But Luo Yi just shuts him down instantly. He sees that for what it is, suicide. He calls the idea rash and basically tells them that a real general uses strategy, not just brute force.
Okay, so let's get into that strategy, because this is where it gets really interesting. You've only got about 3,000 elite troops you can spare for a trap. How on earth do you use them?
You use them like a surgeon's scalpel, not a sledgehammer. He's playing asymmetric warfare. He splits those 3,000 men into 3 small, independent units of 1,000 each.
And placement is everything.
Everything. Ambush 1, led by Zhang Gongjin, is hidden on the left side of a high mountain, aimed squarely at the enemy's vanguard.
And ambush 2.
That's Xianniang, on the right side of the mountain. And his target is the main body, the central army. Cause as much chaos as possible right in the middle.
But the most interesting part is what he does with Luo Cheng, his best fighter.
It's so counterintuitive. He stations Luo Cheng and his 1,000 men about 10 miles away, 30, at a place called Duel, or Solitary Dragon Knoll.
Wait. So you put your best warrior 10 miles behind the enemy. What if the trap doesn't work? What if they don't retreat that far?
See, that's the old general's wisdom. Luo Yi is counting on his trap working. He knows it will cause a panic, disorganized retreat. Luo Cheng's job isn't to fight the main battle. It's to be the cleanup crew.
Ah, so he's there to hit them when they're already broken and running?
Precisely. To seize their supplies, cut off their escape, and turn a retreat into a full-blown rout. He weaponized his son's aggression, but only at the perfect moment.
And the signal that holds this whole thing together is the mother-son cannon.
It's a great name. The sources don't explain the tech, but you can imagine, right? A big boom, the mother, followed by a smaller one, the son. It's all about precise, coordinated timing.
So Du Jian's army shows up. They start the siege, but it's a total failure. Luo Yi's defenses hold. They're burning their siege ladders, smashing their carts.
And after a few days of this, the source material says the Xi army grew lax, complacent. And that is the exact moment Luo Yi was waiting for.
3 a.m, pitch black.
Yep. He sends out the Zhu brothers on a silent raid. And here's this amazing little detail from the text. The soldiers had to hold a twig, a hanmei, in their mouths.
To keep them from talking.
Or even coughing. It ensures absolute total silence. I mean, that's an incredible level of discipline.
And then that silence is just shattered by the cannon. The text says it sounded like mountain collapse and sea boiling.
Utter chaos.
Yeah.
The raid is devastating. Key officers are killed instantly. And then the main signal, the mother-son cannon, fires 3 times. That's the cue for the mountain ambushes.
Du Jian realizes he's walked straight into a trap. He doesn't even try to fight his way out.
No, he's smart enough to know when he's been outplayed. He orders an immediate full retreat. Get back 20 or 30 line, just get out of there.
Yeah.
He knows strategy, not numbers, just beat him.
And he retreats right into Luo Cheng.
Right into Luo Cheng's kill zone. The army is exhausted, disorganized, and now they run smack into 1,000 fresh, elite cavalry.
One of the Xia generals, Gao Yaxian, tries to challenge him, right? He mocks his age.
Big mistake. Luo Cheng is just on another level. He wounds Gao Yaxian in the leg instantly with that famous Luo family spear.
The text has that amazing description of his fighting style.
It's beautiful. It says his spear moves like a swimming dragon taking water. Just this fluid, relentless, unstoppable force. He even forces Du Jian himself to fall back.
So the rout is on, they're fleeing into the dawn, and Luo Cheng is just about to wrap things up when he runs into the very last part of the rear guard.
And this is where the whole story just turns on a dime. The battle narrative stops and something else begins.
Because this rear guard, it's made up entirely of female soldiers.
All female soldiers. And they're being led by this incredible figure, Xianniang, Du Jian's daughter.
The description of her is so vivid. A white silk battle robe, a phoenix crown, and she's wielding a Fangtian Huaji.
Which is this massive, complex polearm. It's not a decorative weapon. It takes incredible skill and strength to use. She is a serious commander.
And their banners tell the whole story, don't they? His is classic warrior bravado, generals for generations, god-tier, spear-famous worldwide.
Standard stuff. But hers is a political statement, ending embroidery in the women's chamber, discussing military matters in the lotus tent.
She's basically saying, I belong on the battlefield, not in the sewing room.
It's an open challenge to tradition. And the verbal sparring that follows is just as sharp. He kind of arrogantly suggests her dad must be out of real soldiers if he's sending her.
And she fires right back, calling him a little dog sent out to bite. Her own troops start laughing at him.
Which, of course, is what starts the duel. They fight for 20 rounds.
And it's a draw, a complete stalemate. He's stunned. The text says her halberd work is ghost-like and impenetrable. He realizes he can't beat her with force.
So he changes tactics completely. He decides to test her. He pretends to retreat, draws his bow, but fires a headless arrow. It's not meant to kill. It's a test of her nerve.
And what she does next is just unbelievable.
She catches it midair with her left hand.
Wow.
And when she looks at it, she sees it's inscribed Little General Luo Cheng. The source says she sighs and calls him Luo Lang, which is this Familiar, almost affectionate term. They're already communicating on a different level.
And then she responds.
She responds in kind. She pulls out a small gold pellet, a jindan. He laughs, thinking it's nothing, but she throws it with such force, it hits his sword arm, and he almost drops his spear.
So they've both landed these symbolic, non-lethal blows on each other.
Exactly. And he picks up the pellet, and it's inscribed with her name, Xianniang. They've exchanged tokens, and in that instant, the source tells us their internal thoughts.
He thinks, if I could marry her, my life's wish would be fulfilled.
And she thinks, if I could marry a gentleman like this, my life would not be in vain. The battle just stalks.
It's such a surreal moment. The text says they just stand there staring at each other for 1 or 2 hours. Can you imagine? The whole war is on pause while these two generals just gaze at each other.
I know. It's the female soldiers who finally break the spell. They start joking, asking if he's planning to draw a portrait of her.
Which snaps them out of it. And the conversation immediately shifts from battle to courtship. He finds out she's 19 and unmarried, and right then and there, he proposes.
Well, proposes to send a matchmaker the proper way. But she's worried. She's afraid this is just a fleeting passion, so she asks him to prove he's serious.
And he does. He makes this incredibly solemn vow.
He swears an oath to heaven. If he doesn't marry Du Xianniang, he will die without a burial place. That is as serious as it gets, an unbreakable promise made on a battlefield.
That's what convinces her. The source says she's moved to tears, but then she brings up the huge, obvious problem.
The political roadblock. Her father is basically an emperor of a rival state now. He will absolutely not consent to his daughter marrying the son of his enemy general.
So they have the love, the commitment, but they're on opposite sides of a war. How do you even begin to solve that?
They need a neutral third party, someone so respected that neither side can refuse him, and Xianniang has the answer, Yang Yechen.
The former Sui minister. Why him?
Because he's the perfect choice. Luo Yi, the father, is his friend. But crucially, Du Jian, her father, both respects and fears him. He's the one person who has leverage over both families.
So this isn't just a romance anymore, it's a diplomatic strategy. They're trying to build a bridge between their warring factions.
A bridge mediated by a marriage proposal. They agree Luo Cheng has to be the one to go to Yang Yichen and ask him to be the matchmaker, but only after her father's current military campaign is over. That's like a romantic armistice.
It's just brilliant. The whole thing is built on a mutual respect that started with a fight.
It is. And as they're about to part, he wants one last token, a keepsake. But she tells him the headless arrow and the gold pellet are all the tokens they need. They're symbols of their respect for each other's strength.
She rides away, telling her troops to keep it a secret, just as her father's reinforcements finally arrive. And Luo Cheng is just left there, heartbroken that he has to wait.